Remakes are nothing new. They're a way of bringing back something you enjoyed years ago, but with modern techniques and ideas. And for younger audiences, it's the first chance to experience them. Bad remakes can kill nostalgia, but when they're done properly, they can be amazing. Hiya folks, and welcome to Start Selects. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 games or series that haven't been around in years and we'd like to see make a return. Number 5. Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis is a survival horror game from back in 1999 and had big competition from the likes of Resident Evil dominating the genre. It's got everything you'd expect from a survival horror game at the time. Scarce ammo, dark narrow corridors, music that'll get your heart pounding. But there's one subtle difference which most people might have missed. Dinosaurs. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, in place of zombies are dinosaurs. It's basically Jurassic Park if it had been directed by George A. Romero. The reptiles from millions of years ago will hunt you down and eat more than just your brains, and the pterodactyls will even swoop at you from the sky for a snack. It'd be great to see the series be given the Resident Evil treatment with a remake and get rid of those loading screen doors and maybe even add a few dinosaurs to spice it up.
Yeah, boy.
Unlike the dinosaurs in the game, Dino Crisis is something which shouldn't stay extinct. Number 4. Hogs of War. Released in the year 2000, Hogs of War was a turn-based tactics game. You controlled a squad of pigs and had to defeat the enemy by taking turns to move your pigs and plan attacks. There are different classes of swine, like engineers who specialise in explosives, or medics who heal your team. You could say it's like Team Fortress mixed with worms. The game's charming British humour is something you rarely see, if ever, in games nowadays, which is a shame and I'd love for it to come back. Obviously, the game's racial stereotypes have no place in 2021, so I would propose using a range of famous British actors and comedians to play the pigs. Rick Mail, who did all the voice work for the original game, sadly passed away in 2014, but luckily there's a ton of talented British comics and voiceover artists who could stand in. I personally would love one of the teams to be voiced by Matt Berry. Recently, there's been a tabletop adaptation of Hogs of War, so hopefully with renewed interest, we could see an updated version of the video game. Number 3. Golden Axe. If Streets of Rage 4 has taught us anything, it's just how good side-scrolling beat-em-ups can still be. Set in a medieval fantasy world similar to Conan the Barbarian, Golden Axe saw us choosing from one of 3 fighters, a barbarian, an Amazon and a dwarf. And you fight your way through a variety of enemy types across a bunch of areas, even being able to ride certain creatures along the way. There was a Golden Axe in 2008, but the less said about that, the better. A proper revival of the series though could be great, with online co-op, a fresh new art style similar to what we saw with Streets of Rage, and I think it'd be perfectly suited for some minor RPG elements. With all these things, I could easily see it being more than just a nostalgia cash grab. Number 2. Jak and Daxter. When Naughty Dog moved on to Uncharted, Jak and Daxter were left on the PlayStation 2.
What? Is that it?
There were a couple of games released for the PSP, one of them being Daxter's solo title, which was actually surprisingly good, but there wasn't much else. Considering it was one of the flagship titles in the early years of the PlayStation 2, I'm surprised there hasn't been anything. It centred around Jak and his friend Daxter, who had been turned into an otter or weasel sort of creature. The first game was a simple enough 3D platformer on an island, and as the games progressed, the developers gave us a taste of the writing chops. It was quite a decent story. Naughty Dog's precursor to Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, has had a storybook comeback, with the Insane Trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4 both being huge successes. And I for one think it's about time we saw the return of the Orange Otto and his big-eared mate. Before getting to our final game, I'd like to thank you for watching this far, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We try and bring you new content every week, and your support means the world to us. Number 1. Legacy of Kane. When I originally started making this video, I asked people for suggestions of games they'd like to be remade, and this was without doubt the most popular. Legacy of Kane is a gothic action-adventure franchise which launched in 1996 on the original PlayStation. The series was split by two leads, Kane and Raziel, with their games being Blood Omen and Soul Reaver respectively, culminating in Legacy of Kane Defiance in 2003, where both characters were playable. They feature some of the best gothic fiction since Bram Stoker's Dracula and have way too much lore for me to get into here. A remake of the series may perhaps modernise the RPG and combat systems, which after nearly 20 years could probably do with a touch up. It would also give the original Blood Omen some much deserved attention since it was overshadowed by Soul Reaver. They could even release them separately with a Blood Omen collection and a Soul Reaver collection, and then finally something to give us closure on the cliffhanger that Defiance left us on. These games had and still have fiercely loyal fan bases, and if given the correct care and attention with a remake, I could easily see this series rivaling the likes of The Witcher or The Elder Scrolls. Crystal Dynamics, sort yourselves out and give the people what they want.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's your lot for this video. 5 games we'd like to see remade. Did we miss anything you'd like to be brought back? Leave a comment telling us what we've missed and why you think it should make a return. We might even include it in a future video. If you enjoyed this, leave us a like. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time, and GG's.